Welcome to a new episode of our podcast, Lead the Future, Change the Conversation. Unedited, honest conversation to create the future. I'm Arjan Visser, futurist and your host, and join me as a chat with my dear friend Benj Street about authentic leadership transformation. Benj is a leader and an innovation accelerator, a pioneer of what's possible when you embrace the emerging future. So happy, Benj, that we found the time to chat again at the podcast. How are you doing?
Very good. Thank you very much for having me back on. It's been a while since I've been a guest on here, and I'm doing very well. Excited to talk about this. Um, you know, I think thinking about 2025 and what it looks like for me and how I model healthy leadership in every area. It's really helpful to have these conversations for me and hopefully for everybody listening in too.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a while. We have been running the question actually, like what when healthy leadership is the answer. What are the questions we're trying to answer? And transitioning with the podcast to actually be even more intentional. What does the authentic leadership transformation look like? We are on ourselves. We lead our people too, and we I started with the metaphors, like transformation metaphors. So one of the transformation metaphors for leadership is building bridges. And like we talked up front, that's a saying, a metaphor used in so many ways. But listening to you and reflecting on it myself, I think we have another message to share than just building the bridges of compromise and leaving the bridges intact to escape if the pioneering fails. So let's use that metaphor to explore what it means for us, our authentic leadership transformation, how we are on that journey, where we are at, where we are going. 2025 has just started. So what's first thing that pops to your mind?
Um, I love the bridge building metaphor, and it's definitely been one that I've carried with me for, well, probably over 30 years in my how I see who I am and how I lead and why I'm here. As you know, I grew up in a culture different to the culture of my parents. So there's always been an obvious kind of inherently I bridge these two cultures by who I am, and so a lot of my view of what bridge building is about is how can we connect ideas, connect people, to create opportunities and create a future that wouldn't be possible without that connection. Um, the first thing literally that popped into my head when you said it just now is a picture of actually when we build a road that wants to go somewhere, sometimes that road has to cross oceans, and you traverse islands on the way, but you need to build bridges. But that road's never built, as you said, as an escape route. It's built because the bridges are built because the road's got to go somewhere and it's going a destination, and it's about trade and new connections between the islands and the destination that had never been possible previously, or maybe had taken swimming or a boat or something to get there before, and suddenly with the bridge there's opportunities for connection that were unimaginable before that.
Yeah.
So that's how that's how I see it, and I think as leaders, we have this incredible opportunity not only to build bridges ourselves based on our different experiences to connect things, so that we can move forward. But I think we have the opportunity to show and teach others how they can build bridges, to connect things. In a way, it overlaps with the finding the common thread in your experience analogy that we've talked about before. That almost, there's a lot of your past experience that will come to play in the future.
Yeah. Well, I was just imagining myself, like when I think of building a bridges as a forerunner, a pioneer. It's probably not the first thing I do is to build a bridge. It's probably, I will probably go from one summit to the other summit. I go through the valley, because it's my journey, it's my development. So you have to, slow down, let go, develop new
Yeah.
climbing skills, leadership competencies, and then
Yeah.
reach the next mountain.
Yeah.
For others to reach that top, you will probably build a bridge. It's the same with going from island to island. If the coastal roads there were not created for the pioneers, they were created for the other people to follow and help them to cross over with safety.
Yeah.
But probably they took a boat or maybe even swam.
Yeah.
So that metaphor of building bridges for me is really valuable. Of that's the next stage, as leaders, you explore something new, you figure the first things out, don't make it perfect, but there is a moment that it's ready for your inner circle, or
Yeah.
your whole mid-level of your business, your
Yeah.
clients, to actually enjoy that new space too. That new space could be mental, could be physical space, but it's where your authority as a business owner, you develop your new authorities, but there is a time to open up for others, and that's, I think, where the metaphor of building a bridge is, for helping others to cross over, for you to easily go back and connect with people, to invite them to come with
Yeah.
you over the bridge. And but that is so different than how I actually put the metaphor aside, because it's not to meet halfway, and it's not, like you said, the escape routes. Like the pioneers that went to the other side of the ocean used all the materials of their vessel to build probably the first bridge to go across a river. Then they deconstructed the bridge again to build their first house. So your skills, your talents, your time, your energy is in a way locked up in that structure.
Yeah.
And I think it's really good to see that building bridges is not about leaving all options open, because then hold you back.
Yeah.
But it is for others. It is for others to come to where you have been pioneering to. So how do we build bridges? As an innovator, an accelerator, I could just imagine, probably talking about my own perspective, I could simply just accelerate and move on and forget to build the bridge. But that would be a waste, because then I couldn't share. But so how do you do that? How do you not forget to build bridges for others?
Well, I don't know the answer off the top of my head to how do I not forget, but I think the thing that comes to mind when you're talking about it is the connection with bridges is often about language for me, because language itself is a bridge that connects people. and connects ideas, and the description of it. So, you know, the process of it that I can relate back to the metaphor is actually you first need to go ahead to the far side of where you want to cross over, and you need to have done that and find the language that describes that. But I think then the process from that position then starts with the sort of looking back reflection piece, and finding that language not just then that is even further forward looking, which you want to have, but also that process of looking back, because as I see a bridge, most bridges are built from both sides of whatever it is that they're going to cross, and so there's part of it where you have to stand on one side and look back and find the language then that connects from that side back to the people who are following you and are going to follow you, and probably multiple times before the bridge has been built, you need to cross back over and stand on that side again. And life's sometimes like that in the the spiral dynamics, in the circularity of things. Actually, you think you've crossed over, but you need to go back because there's something that you still need to learn, or you still need to pick up, or you're still existing on both sides of it until you fully cross over.
I like that. I like that point you make about it's about the slowing down and reflect on your journey, the steps you've made.
Yeah.
Even
look where you've come from. Measure the gain of how far you've come.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. I've said this a few times. It's something I learned. Not necessarily how far you've got left to go till the end of the road, because you never get there.
Yeah, and you've developed new language because you've entered new authority as a leader, but at the same time, don't forget the words that the other people speak. So you have to, speak your new language, but use the words they understand.
And absolutely, and again, taking the metaphor a little bit further, if you've gone ahead and you've seen things that people following you have not seen, it's easy to find the new language to describe those things, because it comes out of a heart connection, and a reaction to what you see and the opportunities that you see and the new vision and strategy that you see from that new perspective. But it's more difficult then to then cross back over to the other island that you were on, or where you'd come from, and then describe that in the language of that culture, if you use that example, or of where you've come from, to try and to describe it to a sufficient level that paints the picture for other people to want to follow you on the journey, to want to lead you. So I think it's that dance, as so much of life is, of
just brings back so many memories of the new language to describe the other side, the other side of the journey, the other side of the valley, and then bring it back. Actually, most of them are not very pleasant memories, because you have to protect, in a way, a language that others haven't seen yet. But when you come there, there's always one in the group that wants to reduce the excitement what you have by using the new language to describe where they're already at. And then the new language loses its power to get people excited and cross over the bridge, and they just stay where they're at and use different words. And then, as a pioneer, you've lost the instrument to talk about the new, because they use the same words for the old.
I think that's always the challenge, though, isn't it? Because the big temptation, I think we were talking about this the other day, in some ways is the temptation of mediocrity, or of settling, or camping out, or whatever that you want to do, which is one of the big human temptations. And certainly as a leader, the temptation to think, I've reached it, I've made it, this is the island I'm king of the island. I've got this great view. I don't need to go any further. If anybody's gone any further, I can reduce their language to describe the greatness of my kingdom. So yeah, I
Very
think
nice way to say that's what people do when they're not certain about who they are,
yeah,
and they control their own black box and make it sound more important than it is, because they don't want to open up, afraid of being, just go through the ice, we say in Dutch, then. But that's, it is all about vulnerability, be real. Self accountability starts by being accountable to your people, and
yeah,
don't make yourself the king of the island. Open it up for others to cross over.
yeah. And I really believe that as humans, we are called to lead ourselves well, and from that position lead people around us, and that requires continually moving forward. um,
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know as humans, even physiologically and in every level, if we stop and do nothing, we don't just stay static. We erode, we decay, we move backwards, we become a smaller version of ourselves. But when we pursue forward motion, um, we inspire others, we change things around us, we create freedom and opportunity, and yeah, it changes everything. That's my viewpoint.
Yeah. And what you describe is at the other side of the bridge. It's not, I think that is, and like you mentioned earlier, like bridging cultures. It's not that the two cultures meet halfway. No, it's for both cultures to cross the bridge and enjoy the other side of the bridge, the other culture, learn, be enriched, have the human connection is not happening over the bridge, on the bridge. It's happening on the other side of the bridge. So in a way, you build the bridges. It's an instrument, and it's not the place to go. It's not the place to camp out.
No.
Most bridges are not even structured for that. If we're all going to stand still in the middle of the bridge, we need a stronger bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's fascinating. It's even hard to process actually language, because it just goes like so many thoughts about how powerful it is, to be able, just processing your words, to be able to actually reflect on your journey you've gone, and build then the instrument for others to cross over and experience it for themselves, finding the language that invites them. It's new language, but existing words, because they need to cross over to experience it themselves. It's not the story of the postcard. It's the invitation to explore the place yourself. It's a vulnerable journey, because
Yeah.
maybe you're super excited and the other people think, well, what's this? They only see the giants in the new space.
Yeah. And I think that's where, having peers and safe spaces to practice that language before you use it on the people who are sitting inspired by your leadership necessarily, is super valuable. And I think the other thing is, there's permission, I think, in the process to not build the bridge straight away.
Yeah.
It's okay to, if you're a pioneer and a leader, it's okay to go ahead on your own and explore and really taste and experience some of that next bit on the other side of whatever valley you've come through, and regain your strength and process before you do the reflection and the looking back and the reaching back to build the bridge.
Yeah. Well, it
Because
shortens
yeah,
the journey, but your journey cannot be shortcutted. There's that paradox, So you have to finish your journey well before you build a bridge that shortens the journey for others. But the bridge is not the shortcut.
No.
Because there are no shortcuts in life, but there is acceleration in life by learning from others. And maybe that learning product is so important to create as a leader. It's about, again, that is formalizing your gang authority in that it can be leveraged in the benefit for others, so that you serve others with value, that you are a blessing for those you lead. And maybe it will manifest in a service or manifest in a product, but it is a tangible outcome of your journey, not for documentary purposes, but really as a benefit, a blessing for others.
Yeah.
So we have to reflect a little bit more in 25.
Yeah, totally. I think, why do people build bridges? Well, it's for relational connection, but it's also for trade and commerce and things, for freedom. And I think building bridges helps other people to step and, leverage your learning, but also it demonstrates that other people can build their own bridges on their journey, which may not be the same. Well, it definitely won't be the same for the whole of their journey. It may overlap for some bits.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, deep thinking, time flies. So to not fry our own brain early in the year in this podcast or any of our listeners, just want to thank you, Benj. And actually, I would love to hear what comes out of your reflection, and I will share mine. But the same goes for everyone being triggered by our conversation. Never ignore the trigger. The triggers are rare. The triggers are valuable. So I just can offer you a connection. So use the link that you see in the screen below, businessrevivalist.com/connect, and just connect with Benj, connect with me. And as a first step on your journey to walk on people's bridges they created for you, but also create your own bridges for others to cross over, so that it's not just the result of your journey, but it's also a benefit for others. And like Benj said, they are relational and they can also be used for commerce. But at the end of the day, they create that benefit, that win-win between people, what I think humanity is all about.
100%.
So thanks for your time, Benj. I'm looking forward to our next conversation, and then we just take another metaphor about our authentic leadership transformation journey.
Sounds great. Look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.